I'm Glenn McGinnis, and this is Outburst. On the program, should Canada continue providing the same level of financial aid to Ukraine?
Well, I have a Ukrainian heritage, so that's a big yes for me.
If we don't contain Russians, they will be more aggressive in the future.
I think we should be focusing on diplomatic solutions.
What are the long-term effects on Canada's social programs for its own citizens?
But first, the senior citizen population in this country is growing, and those numbers continue to climb. And the fear is that our healthcare system may not be able to properly sustain the uptick. But during the pandemic, COVID-19 has had a profound effect on seniors living in long-term care facilities. So it seems the challenges in the future facing those 65 and up could be absolutely daunting. So could Canada rise to the occasion? Our question. Is Canada ready for a growing seniors population?
No, we saw that in the pandemic. The homes, how they were equipped, how they handle things. Nothing changed. I didn't think anything changed since the pandemic, I don't think so. And we have less staff who can take care of them. And nothing changed. I think it's gotten even worse.
I don't think so. I don't think they're ready, although I think they're trying because they are doing things like helping out with medications and so on, and then they're giving some money to the seniors and so on. I am a senior, but I'm still a working senior. I'm a new senior actually, so I just turned that age recently, and I feel like I have lots of energy, so I'd still like to get out and work. But as far as that goes, yes, I think the government should step up to the plate of doing better for their own seniors, and they're trying, but they're not putting their best foot forward.
Oh no! No! Quite frankly, my generation, millennials, there's a lot less of us than there would be boomers, and people from 70s and prior, they were not equipped to handle it. I fully expect that, CPP, in case of Quebec, QPP, won't be able to handle the rising influx of seniors. My grandmother, for example, my maternal grandmother, she's going into a seniors home at the time, currently right now, and just the demand to get into these homes, it's insane. There's just so many people and not enough care for them.
No, not at all.
In what way?
I don't think we have many care facilities there's no private care homes, and all of them are so expensive, and it's just not, I don't know, we're just not ready for it.
No, I don't. I don't think there's enough infrastructure for any seniors across Canada. It's something that's very lacking. Our hospital systems are lacking for it, and our seniors facilities as well.
I don't think so, no.
In what ways?
At least based on the medical help and stuff. My parents are visiting right now. It's really hard to get a doctor or even a family doctor. So seniors need more care than us, a little bit more. And I don't think so we're ready for it, to support them in any way.
In Canada, probably not, no. I mean, I don't think anyone's really ready for it, right? But, a lot of that's provincial as well, of course, and I don't think Saskatchewan is. I think, there's some opportunities for improvement there,
What challenges do you see?
Sorry. Well, just the way that funds are used for healthcare, that they're actually being used properly, and just general appropriate use of funds in the province, right? We've seen all the stuff that's happened during the pandemic and the impact that's had on the health service, etc. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities for improvement in that way. And I guess the next election will kind of probably see signs of how people want that.
Most definitely not. Healthcare is dramatically understaffed. As we get older, medical support is more important, not just from hospitals, that kind of stuff, but seniors facilities, and prescription costs go through the roof, so we're just not ready yet.
Canada is not ready. We know we're already in a healthcare crisis nationally. That has to be improved upon significantly. I think, what was the latest figure in 5-6 years? 26% of the population of Canada is going to be over 65. No, Canada is not ready. There's going to need to be a lot more planning done to ensure that there's appropriate programs for seniors in Canada.
Not even close. Why? Lots of reasons. The provinces have cut back access to medical care for almost as long as I've been alive. They've known about the demographic bulge forever and have done nothing about it. So we're now in a situation where it's a crisis.
Very good question. That all depends on how much we have in the federal coffers with regard to the CPP plan. So they brought in enhancements to it back in 2019. I don't think anyone is ever really ready until, hits the fan, right? Personally, I don't know. But it also depends on, are you individually ready as a person? How do you budget your money? And so.
No, I don't think it's ready at all. It's known that there's a cohort coming through that's going to be aging and that kind of thing, but it's something new. I don't know that we have to redevelop the wheel. There's probably other countries that have done a better job. They have UBI and stuff like that. But I don't think we're ready, really.
That is a very good question. I think that the seniors population might not be ready for what is coming up because of the extended lifespan. So I think the average lifespan of the Canadian is somewhere around 81. And, I don't think that a lot of their pensions are going to make it over inflation. In terms of the Canadian government, who knows? That might be something that will reveal itself in the future. But, our GDP needs to come up, and you could probably mention something about immigrants and that kind of thing in contributing to the tax base.
The framework for a national pharmacare program put forth by the Liberal NDP coalition looks to grant access to contraceptives and medication, including insulin, for millions of Canadians. A pharmacare plan was a deal breaker in this Liberal NDP coalition, and Canada is the only country in the world with a universal health care system that does not include prescription drugs. It's estimated to cost about $1.5 billion. So do you think it's worth the investment? Our question. Do you think prescription contraception and diabetes medication should be federally funded?
Technically, there are other more important stuff that needs to be federally funded, but I don't see how those two came to the priority.
It's such a basic need that it should be part of just standard everything. Wi-Fi, teeth, all of that should just be a given. Glasses, simple, coat hanger around a piece of glasses, shoes, toothbrushes, all that should just be basic stuff. So yeah, insulin, yeah.
Yeah. More and more Canadians have diabetes, and contraception isn't just to prevent pregnancy. Half the population is female, and there are lots of reasons, such as endometriosis, that require contraceptives to just control that condition. So.
Yeah, so that's a tough question. I think governments always have to make choices about where they spend money. As a woman, I am all for contraceptives being funded. I think that that's something that's really vital, especially for younger women. I think that that's something that we need. I think that's, and diabetes medication, that's not something that's really personal to me, but I wouldn't say that it's really tough to make decisions about what should be funded and what should not be funded. I think that I disagree with some things, with some decisions that the federal government has made in terms of where we spend our money. I think there's all kinds of better choices that could be made, but if there's money for it, yeah, I do. I think, people would like that, and I think that's a good thing.
Healthcare is a provincial responsibility. I'm unsure is exactly how they are going to get provincial buy-in to something they've been trying to get buy-in to as far as pharmacare goes for 50 years and failed. So how is that going to work? And it's quite obvious that they launched it on the provinces with almost no consultation.
Yes, I do think it should be. We've got to look at the health of the nation, okay? Contraception, yes, contributes to overall health of the nation. Diabetes, yes, diabetes is a problem. So let's make it manageable for Canadians who unfortunately are suffering from diabetes. we got to look after the population. It's about the wealth of Canada. So health equates to wealth.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's a healthcare component, so it's all healthcare, and it should be, yes.
100%, yes. Yes. Because, well, it's an issue and it can affect many other problem issues. And I think if we deal with it seriously, we will avoid to pay many money for other people if they have like consequence.
Yeah, I share the same opinion as her, because I've read actually recently on the internet that diabetes has become an even worse problem than people starving. And I think that we should definitely fund more money into this cause.
Absolutely. Especially, I mean, both of them equally. Diabetes, I mean, it's an ailment that people, it's difficult to control, and why wouldn't it not be on the prescription? Contraception is a very good way that any kind of wealthy small nation should be dealing with, because the population control ends up actually being good for budgets in the long run. So if it's not covered, I mean, you're basically gonna pay for it down the road.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Why or why not?
Well, especially with contraceptive, like every woman almost needs it or takes it. And then diabetic medication, I know, can be super expensive. And that's not something, it's like a choice, like you're just kind of born with it. And so to be forced to have to pay for something like that, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I think it's like a human right. Like you need to have access to that. So that's why I would say yes.
But if they're going to claim, hey, our healthcare is free, then give us free healthcare. That should be our medication. That should be all different kinds of operations, right? It shouldn't just be some of it, which is, oh, this is less expensive for us. It should be all in all, anything to do with our bodies. When it comes to a medical standpoint, it should be free.
Again, as I said, someone who has many diabetics in my family, it's a life-saving, medication. Everybody should have access to it, because again, some people may not be able to afford it. My grandmother, for example, she's on disability. If she had to pay for diabetes medication herself, she wouldn't have been able to afford it. You know what I mean? But thankfully, the government, because of her disability, was able to cover a majority of the cost. But again, without that medication, she wouldn't have survived as long as she would have.
Well, I think if this is the start of other things to be being paid for by the government, that's a good thing. But to just do things like diabetes, I think is a bit discriminatory. Because there's lots of other medications that people take through no fault of their own, and they're having to pay for it.
And dental as well. Yeah. Dental shouldn't be a luxury. It's part of our body. It's essential, so it shouldn't be this expensive. Yeah.
How many Canadian prime ministers never stood in Parliament during their tenure? 1, 3, or 7?
1.
3. I'm gonna guess 7, just because it seems like the less likely number.
Yeah, I think it would be 1. I would say it's a low number.
3. 3.
7.
I would say 7.
Probably 7.
3.
The answer? 3.
Oh. Okay.
A total of 3 Canadian prime ministers never stood in the House of Commons as prime minister. All 3 succeeded prime ministers who resigned from office. The first was Sir Charles Tupper. He is Canada's oldest and shortest serving prime minister. After the resignation of Mackenzie Bowell as prime minister in 1896, Tupper was appointed prime minister by the Governor-General. But his tenure lasted only 69 days after being defeated in the 1896 general election by Sir Wilfrid Laurier's Liberal Party. In June 1984, John Turner succeeded Pierre Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. Although he could have waited more than a year, he called an election for the following September. It resulted in Brian Mulroney's Progressive Conservatives winning an historic landslide victory. The third was Kim Campbell. After Brian Mulroney resigned as Prime Minister in 1993, Kim Campbell was elected leader of the Progressive Conservatives, becoming the first woman to serve as Prime Minister of Canada. Like John Turner, she quickly called an election after taking office, but suffered the largest electoral loss by a governing party in Canada, going from a majority government to just 2 seats. We've been hearing more about Canada falling short on meeting that 2% of GDP defense spending goal put forward by NATO. Some NATO members, including our neighbors to the south, have been urging the Canadian government to invest more in order to meet that NATO target. Right now, Canada spends just under 1.4% of its GDP on defense spending. But in a world where global security is seemingly more precarious, is this something that sits well with you? Our question. Does Canada not meeting NATO military spending targets concern you?
Well, it's yes or no, because if we are having already our own troubles in Canada and we keep contributing to other countries who's having war, I know we are affected, but in the meantime, I should focus more on the Canadian more because it's affected us. More money we spend outside, it's affected us.
Only if Donald Trump gets elected. I mean, really, the whole thing about NATO is that if you harm one, you harm all, and to make it a price issue is irresponsible.
It does. Canada has always been a contributory nation to NATO, and it is a founding member of NATO. We need to do what's appropriate. So whether that is meeting the 2% of GDP, or if there are other resource bills that we can meet to meet our obligations, yes, we should, because that's international peace and security operations, which is the third defense mandate of Canada, behind sovereignty being the first, defense of North America being the second, international peace and security. And at this time, when there is so much disruption in international peace and security, Canada needs to be involved at the forefront.
Canada has never, I don't know for how long, has never met its 2% contribution to NATO as part of military spending. That wasn't a big deal up until recently. Most countries in NATO don't meet their 2%. That's changing, obviously, with the increasing aggression that Russia is showing in Ukraine, and will probably, if they win in Ukraine, show to other countries in the surrounding area.
I think so. Like, as Canada is one of the obviously more developed countries in a more privileged position, I think we should be doing our fair share.
I completely agree. I think we should be paying that amount, if not more. We fund a lot of things that I feel like are a bit unnecessary or even overfunded for things that we don't necessarily need or require at this time. So I feel like putting more money into what we need now instead of maybe what we don't need is way more important, especially for now and our future.
Yes, I am, because like I've been watching the YouTube and all that type of stuff, and I see all kinds of stuff happening with, like, it looks like everybody's ready for World War III, and I think that's so sad. In today's day and age, they should come to some sort of decision where they should not have this war and killing and fighting all over the place. I mean, I am one who would hope for world peace, which is, I know it's totally impossible because we are all so diverse and we have all different views and different things. So as far as like you say spending on the NATO, yes, they should be.
Well, are other NATO nations, are they contributing the same amount? No, right? Then Canada should not, because it's like what you give, what you get, right? So unlike US, we've been contributing quite a bit to all the NATO nations, right? Thinking that, okay, Russia is a threat. But are all the European countries and NATO nations, are they contributing or are they paying their dues every year? No, they are not. And we are still protecting them, right? And it's not like that, okay, they are not making or, they are not able to contribute that amount. But still, they just don't want to do it because they know that, okay, either way, they will be protected by these two great nations, right? So they should be given a reality check that, okay, you start contributing as well, and then we'll do it.
I don't know how much I'm concerned about it. Obviously there's like war everywhere now, so I guess if the more we invest in our military, the more we can help people that are in those situations over there. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned about it. And I think that, yes, if you make a commitment that you're going to spend a certain amount of money or that you're going to do something, you should follow through.
No, not at all. I think so they should first take care of their own citizens, then they should look at those things outside, because everything is changing now. Costs are high and rents are high. Everything is seeming to go towards the worst. So meeting NATO targets is like down on the list, should be down on the list.
Well, I'm more concerned with getting food on the table and stuff. Like, there's a lot of people that have not enough food. Kind of military is up there too, but I don't know. To be honest, food is more important to me. But yeah, military. I don't know.
I think we should, yes.
But does it concern you that we're not at that 2% of GDP?
I think 2% is a reasonable amount, and I think it's a commitment to our partners. And yeah, I think we should be meeting that commitment.
Not really.
Why not?
Well, just because we have protectors on the south. I mean, what are they going to do? You know, I mean, the guys at the south end of this continent, they're going to protect the north end, if all else fails. I mean, we do have to do our part, but yeah, I don't know where they're going to get the money from. So
I would say is I don't think that Russia's our oppressor anymore. USSR is done. The Cold War is over, and we've got other fish to fry. We've got Ukraine. We've got India. We've got a number of other geopolitical issues going on that it's no longer, the Cold War, as I say, is done. So I just think it served its purpose, but it's a system that's no longer needed. Do we need to build our military up? Absolutely we do.
As we enter the third year of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Canada has committed $3.2 billion to help the Ukrainians with their cause. Defense Minister Bill Blair said Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine and provide them with the military aid they need to fight and win this war. Canada has contributed $4 billion in military aid to Ukraine since the beginning of 2022, and this new investment will keep this going until 2029. So, do you think it's appropriate? Our question.
Should Canada continue providing the same level of financial aid to Ukraine?
If we don't contain Russians, they will be more aggressive in the future. So at least we can do something now itself. Instead, Ukraine is getting defeated and the puppet government is put in Ukraine, and later it would be difficult for the West to, contain Russia. So
Canada should take care of the Canadians and people in Canada who is paying taxes, who is working hard, and who really needs the help. That we look at our country right now. We have so many homeless people on the street. We need to address that issue before we address in somebody else's country.
That's a very personal, opinionated question, but no, they should not. I would rather think that, okay, how much they have contributed towards Canada, in general, or, what they have done for this nation. Yes, I do have sympathy for the people of, Ukraine, but at the same time, other nations also exist in the world. They should also stand up and, start contributing.
Absolutely not. No, they should take care of
our country
first, our kids, our people, and people who live here in Canada.
They need to acknowledge our problems first.
Yes.
I think it's a fairly complicated subject that has a lot of history behind it, quite a bit of history behind it. I think that war was avoidable and was not necessary. And I think we should be focusing on diplomatic solutions.
I don't really think so, unless it's humanitarian. I think it's a lot more complicated than what's being portrayed. So basically we're taking sides right now, and I think we should be more on the realm of kind of trying to broker a peace is what I'd like to see. But
well, I have a Ukrainian heritage, so that's a big yes for me. But I think it would be regardless of what country was involved. I would hope that support is spread between countries evenly. But I think you have to support what's going on over there because it will eventually affect us.
Well, I mean, on the world stage, you got to make yourself look good, right? So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think we could use the money here in our own country. You know, I mean, if we want to build up our military, we're giving money away.
I think so, yes. I'm just concerned with Russia's increasing power on the world stage, and I think that Canada should help Ukraine as much as possible because it's still ongoing. It never, stops, even though there's other conflicts going on. But I think, yeah, we should.
That's a real challenging question. I believe the latest figure is $3 billion. Canada should continue to aid Ukraine, but what are the long-term effects on Canada's social programs for its own citizens? That's what needs to be looked at. It needs to be a comprehensive solution that looks at the whole of Canadian involvement, again, in international peace and security operations.
I think history will teach us that if you fail to stand up to aggressors, people who believe that they can impose their will on other countries through military aggression, that it only leads to a wider escalation of the conflict. And I believe we fought 2 wars in the last 100 years on exactly those premises. So unless we want a repeat of World War II, I think NATO had better start doing some serious standing up to what is obviously unfounded military aggression in Europe.
We have a huge Ukrainian population here in Canada, and as well as Russian. And I mean, if money's going to fix it, fine. I'm not confident that money will fix that problem, though. So that's a difficult question to answer. Excuse me. I think that, yeah, maybe for a few more years, yes, and maybe finding, working on some kind of diplomatic solution with the powers that be might be prudent as well, and maybe stepping that up.
I think we need to be supporting them, and I would even include an early admission to NATO as a possibility, but that would put us in direct conflict and at war with Russia. But I think it's time to call Putin's bluff, because he's a complete liar. He doesn't care about Russia or Ukraine or anyone. He just cares about himself. That's why he has allies like Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, who are also totalitarian wannabes.
Thanks for watching this episode of Outburst on CPAC. If you have any comments about this show or any other show, you can find us on social media. You can also find us on our website at www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.